Ruben Amorim has been tipped for a swift exit from Manchester United after his shock attack on the club's board. The Red Devils' boss suggested he could leave in an astonishing rant after Sunday's 1-1 draw with Leeds. Sign up for the Man United newsletter. Thank you. Ruben Amorim could be sacked by Manchester UnitedCredit. Getty. Alan Shearer believes the writing is on the wall for the managerCredit, Alamy, but he insisted he would not quit before the end of his contract in 2027. However, the decision may not be his to make, as he moaned about being head coach rather than manager. Amorim, 40, also aimed a jibe at Director of Football Jason Wilcox after a move for Bournemouth winger Antoine Semenyo failed to materialise. And Premier League legend Alan Shearer now believes the writing is on the wall. Read more on Man Utd. The former England striker reckons that Amorim will be sacked by the club before long. The Toon icon claims Amorim has not got the results to back up his war with the board. Speaking on The Rest is Football, Shearer said, "I think he is fighting a losing battle and there is only going to be one winner. It would not surprise me if he is not there much longer. Most read in football, best free bets and betting sign-up offers. He has not got enough in the bank to be coming out and taking the board on like that." Shearer suggested Amorim's rant was sparked by a lack of transfers this month. Ruben Amorim verdict. This feels like the beginning of the end for Ruben Amorim as Manchester United boss. The Portuguese hinted at issues behind the scenes on Friday before he practically confirmed a power struggle is now underway with his explosive post-match comments at Leeds. United Chief Executive Omar Berrada and Director of Football Jason Wilcox must have thought the most incendiary comments at Elland Road would come from the terraces. But Amorim's extraordinary sign-off at his post-match press conference might have caused Berrada and Wilcox to swerve into AM62 service station on their short journey home for an emergency stop. The 1-1 draw at promoted Leeds means Amorim has won just 24 of his 63 games in charge. He lost last season's Europa League final to the worst Tottenham team in nearly 50 years and led United to 15th in the Premier League. Amorim has not got a leg to stand on. Read Samuel Luckhurst's verdict in full here. He also insisted the Portuguese tactician wants to prove he is the boss, and not just a coach. Shearer added, "I am only guessing here as I have not got a clue. Is there an element that makes me think that he is being told that he has to be adaptable and change that system? He changed it against Newcastle and they got the result, and he has gone back to his 3 in the Wolves game and didn't get the result. He has probably thought, I am going to do it my way, I am not being told to play or what to do. Which is probably one of the reasons he said, I am the manager and I will do what I want to do. Yet his title is head coach. He has probably thought, well, I am not getting any players in January, what is the point? I think that is what his rant is probably. If you go back to when he was hired, they were desperate to get him. I don't see it lasting much longer, I really don't. When a manager comes out and says that against a sporting director or CEO, there is only one winner. Amorim took charge of United 14 months ago and has done little to return them to their former glory. He lost the Europa League final to Tottenham and finished 15th last season. Recommended stories. United currently sit 6th in the Prem table. However, there has never been a consistent run of form under Amorim, who boasts a win percentage of just 38.71% in his 63 matches. A timeline of Amorim's Christmas fallout, by Catherine Walsh. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's perceived, heated chat with Wilcox and CEO Omar Berrada after the 4-1 win at Molineux on December 8 largely went under the radar. The trio were pictured in an animated discussion immediately after Wolves scored their equalising goal just after half-time. United then lost Ahmad, Brian Mabumo and Nosair Mazraoui to AFCON after the 4-4 draw with Bournemouth, and skipper Bruno Fernandes limped off in the defeat at Villa Park. Amorim then laid down his first marker by admitting he may not get the money necessary to perfect his 3-4-3 in his Christmas Eve pre-match conference ahead of the Toons visit. Speaking after the 1-0 win over Newcastle, Amorim then made an interesting comment on failing to reach common ground with transfer boss Wilcox. He said, "I have one idea, Jason and board have another idea. Every decision that we make, we need to reach a common ground. That is really important. Because you don't need to make everything for the manager, because the manager can change and you need to change everything, but the manager understands the way of playing." Amorim then walked in with a huge frown on his face on Friday, January 2 at Carrington. It was the grouchiest this reporter has ever seen Amorim, who before that walked into pre-match conferences with a smile on his face and regular jovial quips for the room. He then uncharacteristically point-blank refused to answer a question and gave short, pointed replies to others. Amorim was asked to explain why he did not know the position around recruitment when he joined United from Sporting in November 2024. "I don't want to talk about that," he said. "I just focus on the Leeds game." Amorim then said he did not regret his comments prior to the Newcastle match before being asked again, by the same journalist, if something had changed in relation to the transfer budget. Once more, he replied, "I don't want to talk about that." Then, after a brief pause, and after the United media official sitting next to Amorim at the press conference had begun to say who would ask the next question, the Portuguese added, "But you are very smart, so." Then came the extraordinary rant at Leeds 2 days later. A recent report claimed Christopher Vavell, United's head of recruitment, called on Amorim to adapt his system after a particularly detailed explanation by Fulham boss Marco Silva of his plan to counter it following the 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage in August. While United officials have tried to create a picture of harmony, their words are being tested by Amorim. He clearly thinks the parameters of the job he was sold have changed.